Aliens Explored is a podcast exploring famous and obscure cases of UFO sightings, alien abductions and other strange events from both a believing and a sceptical perspective whilst keeping an open mind. I'm Stu Jackson, a professional actor and amateur ufologist with a particular interest in the crop circle phenomenon. I'll be debating that otherworldly visitations are real. The truth is out there.
And I'm Neil Kelly. I'm a professional actor as well and used to work for the military as an intelligence analyst. I'll be arguing from a more doubtful point of view. I mean, it's all a bit far-fetched, isn't it?
In July 2001, more than a dozen witnesses, including 2 police officers, witnessed a set of golden lights hovering silently in the night sky over the New Jersey Turnpike. But could this have been another example of a V-shaped UFO, or was it something much more mundane? Join us on Aliens Explored as myself and Neil explore the New Jersey Turnpike UFO.
Hello listeners and welcome to Aliens Explored, your weekly UFO podcast where we look at the mysterious skies. I'm one of your presenters, Neil Kelly.
And I'm your other presenter, Stu Jackson. And it's UAPs now, Neil. We need to get with the times.
We do. We need to use the right terminology. Yeah. UAPs. So
UAPs.
This week we're looking at the UAP or UAPs which appeared over the New Jersey Turnpike in 2001, which people are still arguing about.
Yeah, it was a big deal at the time, and it still is one of the great mysteries in the UFO community. See, I'm doing it now.
In the UAP community, yeah. We need to be
otherworldly.
Yeah.
Otherworldly. I mean, we don't just do UFOs here or UAPs. We do all sorts of otherworldly things, but this was indeed a UAP in July 2001. As you'd say, over the New Jersey Turnpike.
Well, let's just specify what it exactly was. It was a set of lights in a V formation, seen hovering over the New Jersey Turnpike, which bore a similarity to what had been seen in the skies near Phoenix a few years earlier, back in March 97.
Yes, so just 4 years earlier. And listeners, if you go back to episode 2, all the way back on episode 2, Neil, we talk about that in great length. Well, we talk about the various Phoenix lights because there were more than one, weren't there? But yeah, so you've got 16. Some people describe the lights as gold, some yellow, some amber. But yeah, 16 of these lights. Yeah, as you say, in this V formation, just hovering. I mean, people are pulling the cars over and having a look at it. Just after midnight. Now, I tried to. Have you found in your research what day this happened? Because I've been struggling. There's a reason I'm asking that.
It wasn't a 1st of April thing, was it?
No. No, it was definitely in July. But I've heard conflicting reports about which day in July. I've heard the 14th of July, the 17th of July, and the 19th of July.
Okay, I've brought up ABC News here, who are saying 19th of July.
Yeah, but there's all sorts of other reputable outlets that, like I say, 14th, 17th as well. So there's some real inconsistency about what actual day this happened.
And that doesn't normally happen with anything, really. Doesn't people usually get the date, they either get the day right or say it was somewhere, we're not sure of the date.
Well, absolutely. Especially where there's official investigations done, which in this case there was. Yeah, I just find it a bit curious. I don't know what day it was.
Yeah, no, I didn't get that. I just found a report that said 19th of July, so I just
maybe if our listeners know, they can message in and let us know. exactly when it was. But yeah, curious one. This, like you say earlier, that very, very similar to the Phoenix lights.
Yes.
97.
Now, Colin Kelleher of the National Institute of Discovery Science says that, from what he's heard, that the lights were only about 1,800 feet up, which is, how's that? How many is that? About 600 meters.
Yes.
So it should have been close enough to see the outlines of a vessel if there was one there.
Well, I mean, it was just after midnight, so obviously it was very dark. But one of the witnesses happened to have a night vision. I think it was a scope.
Now, you have to wonder why someone carries around something like that, don't you?
Well,
what do you do? He was a retired military man.
This is, I mean...
an old soldier going around with a night vision scope in New
we're
Jersey.
not known for our sweeping statements on this show. We are, really. We really are. So I'm going to say it's America. It could well have been someone they've been hunting or something.
Yeah, I don't know what New Jersey's like for hunting, but I guess there are wide open spaces. Well, spaces that are wide enough open to fire high velocity rifle rounds around without endangering people more than usually.
On the turnpike, it's reasonable to assume that they weren't hunting there. They've been hunting somewhere else and travelling to or from. So yeah, I can. If it was the UK, I think it'd be like, what the hell are they doing with something like so specialised as that? In America, actually, I can believe it.
Well, actually, it's hard to think of a surreptitious use for night vision equipment, because my experience of using night vision equipment in the military was you look into the dark with it. If you look at a light, for instance, if you're looking through it and a vehicle suddenly appears with blasting a headlight in it dazzles the equipment. It kind of crashes. So it's definitely not for looking in people's windows.
No.
Or not if they've got a light on anyway.
I'm sure this witness had a legitimate use for their night vision equipment.
We're just naturally suspicious on this show, aren't we?
We are, and especially, I mean, because America, of course, I know I've said this previously on episode, like I'm scared to go to America because guns, basically. I have this image in my head, and it's probably incorrect, that everyone's walking around like everyone is armed in America. And I'm going to be finding out because I've now I've committed to going to America next year now. Yeah, a year away.
The first time I went to America, someone put a gun in my hand, and I was drunk. I was really drunk. We'd been drinking all day, and this guy just invited us back to. Well, basically, we'd stumbled into a biker bar, and they were kind of okay with it. But this guy called Eric came up and said, "Look, you really don't want to be in here. I'll take you somewhere else." And we ended up going back to his place, and his old lady, as he called her, was sat there smoking opium, and she offered us some. Of course, we were military guys; we couldn't accept that. And I must have dozed off for a bit, but suddenly I felt
is that the official story?
The official story. I must have dozed off for a bit, and suddenly and then he put a gun in what it was a 9mm Beretta in one hand, and a magazine with wad cutter rounds. I could see the top round of these flat-nosed rounds with a red tip in my hand. And of course, of the 3 or 4 of us army guys, I was the only one who'd been trained in using a handgun. So I said, "Look, you do it like this," and I put the magazine in and cocked it, even though I'd been trained on a different weapon, and then unloaded it again. And I thought, afterwards, of course, that's a really stupid fucking thing to do. I was in a crowded room, drunk, with a weapon that I hadn't been trained on, and I loaded it and chambered around. That's how people die, doing stuff like that, And I know because I've done it. Although I didn't kill anyone on that occasion. And then he was showing us other things. He sort of, under his bed, he pulled out. He had an AR-15 Armalite rifle.
So are you trying to terrify me? No, I'm committed to going to America.
So whereabouts are you going?
I'm going to Chicago.
Nice, safe place.
There's a big... I don't know if you're being ironic saying that, because I know nothing about America. But no, there's a major Star Trek convention next year, so in April.
Wow.
So let's three-day event.
Let's hope travel restrictions have been lifted. And well, I tell you what, you've got to wear your red Star Trek shirt. So if you get killed, it's perfectly appropriate.
Yeah. Well, I do wear red, but that's because I'm next generation onwards. So always the captain.
So next generation, they don't die with such regularity, I guess.
Now, not in a red shirt, no.
Yeah. Now,
anyway, we've gotten off topic.
As we do. I mean, this retired military man with his night vision goggles.
Was he retired military? We haven't.
According to ABC News, it said he was a retired military man, was among the witnesses and he had night vision equipment, and he described a kind of flare out as the lights disappeared, and he also said that he saw smoke after the lights had disappeared, which is exactly what flares in the sky would look like. But I mean, he's a military man. If you're in the army and you see lights in the sky, that's a flare, usually.
Yeah. There's that. But flares drift. They move. They don't stay in formation.
Well, they drift if there's wind. I mean, if you're talking about a Shimuli parachute flare. But I mean, you see the thing shoot up. It looks like a firework rocket going up. And then there's this bright light which stays in the sky because it's on a parachute. And it will illuminate. Okay. It's designed to illuminate the ground below. And as a military man, you take cover. You stop moving, or you hit the ground. You stop moving if you're in woods. If you're on open ground, you hit the ground, and you stay there till the light goes out.
Okay.
So that's he would have, being a military man, he was a light in the sky, got to be a flare.
I can see that, and I don't want to just dismiss and say, well, he would have seen that. So so let's just explore that a bit further. How long do flares normally last?
I think about between 15 and 30 seconds, something like that.
Right. These lights, according to 15 independent witnesses who came forward to talk about it, lasted for 15 minutes. Okay.
I mean, I'm talking about the kind of flare I had, which was like a little tube about the size of a Toblerone bar, and you open it both ends and you squeeze the trigger and it fires off this flare. Possibly, I know that aircraft drop flares. You see transport aircraft taking off from airstrips in Afghanistan or Iraq, and as they take off, they're popping out flares left and right, which will, in case someone's got a surface-to-air missile, a heat-seeking missile locked onto them, the idea is that the flares will distract or confuse the missile. So maybe aircraft will drop longer lasting flares, but but that would be a more regular thing. That would.
Yeah, and the idea that they're in this V formation, and again, this is very similar to previous sightings of similar things. And the V formation. I'm just going to go back a little bit on something you said, because you mentioned a Toblerone bar.
Yeah.
Now, I genuinely don't know if a lot of our listeners are Americans, and I genuinely don't know if you have Toblerones over there. So, in case you don't, it's a candy bar.
It's a candy bar, and it's always on sale. Certainly in Europe at airport duty-free shops. And usually in much larger sizes than you can buy in the shop. There seems to be the thing. You've been travelling abroad, you bring someone back a giant-sized candy bar that's about a metre long.
Yeah, and they're triangular.
And they're triangular. The Shimuli flare is obviously it's a cylindrical thing, so it's more like a tube of smaller than a tube of Pringles. It's narrower than a tube of Pringles, but
now Americans will know what Pringles are.
Yeah, so imagine about like a Pringles tube, but about half the width. You can easily wrap your fingers around all the way.
Okay. Yeah, no, I just wanted to, just in case America, what the hell's a Toblerone?
God damn it. Sorry, not going to stop mimicking Americans.
No,
now,
I shouldn't.
There was also something about how people felt when they saw the lights. They said
yes.
There was something about them that struck them very deeply, that had a kind of soothing effect on them.
Yeah, peace and serenity.
Yeah.
Coming in waves off this thing. Ooh. Now, I'm going to offer a potential explanation on this.
Okay.
And this comes from my very, very, very limited study of ghost phenomenon, which electromagnetic fields can really radically stimulate or change our moods and our feelings in any given moment. So the way that comes from the ghost thing is, if you go into some places have like just a really creepy feeling where you feel like you're being watched the moment you walk into a place, and a lot of investigation has been done, and it's shown that actually there's certain electromagnetic fields in those places, and that's what's stimulating that feeling. So the idea of these lights creating this peaceful, serene feeling, I would say that's probably an electromagnetic field.
Okay, because I
operating
was
at a certain frequency.
The feeling that you're being watched in haunted houses, I was assumed that was, it had more of a psychological cause, that people have been told, oh, this is a haunted house, or this, there's a ghost of an old woman who lives here, or it's the old. Yeah, we're going to do a paranormal study of the old abandoned lunatic asylum. You kind of go in there ready to hit the supernatural, and you're going to be seeing all sorts of shapes. I do have I do tend to see shapes. I do tend to see weird things around dusk, when your eyes change from daytime, where you're differentiating things by colour. With is it the needles and the cones in your eyes? You switch from one to the other, so you go from differentiating by colour to differentiating by shape. Yes. And in that transition period, that's when I sometimes get confusing things. And and if I'm a bit spooked, that could be something sinister coming out of the dark at me, or coming out of the dusk. So
there's so to address your first point there, there is certainly a sort of psychosomatic effect of being told, right, now you're going into this haunted room, and, people have had these experiences there, go in and tell us what you think. And yes, people are on edge before they go
the last person when they died of fright.
But I'm talking about places where people are given sort of no information. I've certainly experienced it where I have walked into like stayed in a hotel, for example, and I'll just walk into one particular room, and it's like, oh no, I'm not staying in this room. No. Without being given any previous information, and then you discover afterwards, oh yeah, well, a lot of people won't stay there because it's haunted. It's like, why didn't you tell me that before? So you're not wrong in what you say, but also sometimes effect can precede cause on that. So there is more going on. As for the seeing sinister things, there is a psychological effect, and I forget the name of it now, where we see patterns in things that don't have patterns. We see faces in things. We'll see a shape, like, and it can be a random shape, and it's like when you look at a cloud and you see things in the cloud that resemble, like, oh look, that one looks like a car. Well, of course it doesn't look anything like a car, but our brain turns it into this. It interprets it as a familiar shape, and that's what a lot of that is. You're seeing random shapes, but your brain's trying to interpret it as something familiar. Well, what's especially at dark, when the caveman in us will get killed by the saber-toothed tiger, or absolutely. You do tend to see figures, and and of course when you see a figure when they can't possibly be a figure there, that is really sinister. That is terrifying. So I would say there's probably a lot of that going on there. But peace and serenity is not normally one that's associated. But then how many people would interpret, like they're going to this feels so peaceful, this feels so serene. They wouldn't say, oh, look, it must be haunted then. They'd say, oh, look, it's a religious expression. And that's perfectly acceptable. Yeah. That's not going to warrant investigation. Oh, look, it's a miracle. There you go.
Yeah.
That's your investigation.
They walk through and think, I feel quite relaxed in here. This must be a relaxing room. It's nice and quiet. It's got subdued colours, subdued lighting, comfortable furniture. Yeah, it feels like a relaxing place. But yeah, they would attribute it to these more mundane and obvious causes.
Or religious, as I say.
So for the benefit of our foreign visitors, if you want to have a creepy experience, I can't give any specifics, but that can often be obtained by staying in an English bed and breakfast. It's like an overnight hotel. Usually in someone's private house, they will let you rent a room for the night. It's the cheapest way to stay. Pubs often have it, but often private houses. And you just get an overnight stay in a room, and they give you breakfast in the morning, and off you go. It's an overnighter. But there are some very creepy ones around.
They have guest houses in America. I've seen them on TV.
Yeah, but
they've had them in Frasier.
Yeah, maybe. I remember staying in one, and the pictures on the walls were all of these old photos of, I guess, the family, but nobody was smiling. Everyone was just kind of glaring. All these sort of stern-faced people in the photos, and the house was full of dolls. Dolls everywhere, on every windowsill, in my room, on the landing, whatever, and lined up down the hallway. All these dolls, all looking at you. I mean, obviously this lady loved dolls, but it was kind of creepy.
Yeah, that would creep anyone out in any country, I've got to say. You wouldn't need electromagnetic fields. But yeah, so I would speculate that actually there are all these different electromagnetic fields affecting our moods on a day-to-day basis. It's just the really intense ones that stand out. And there's no reason at all why, if these lights were giving off the right frequency of electromagnetic... I mean, this is pure speculation on my part. I've got no scientific basis for this at all. I'm just thinking, I wonder if it's this. Yeah, so maybe it was just giving off an electromagnetic field.
Maybe. I mean, how do people... You've got your green screen on behind you showing the Aurora Borealis. People feel soothed when they see that, don't they? They travel specifically to the Arctic to see these amazing lights in the sky and feel soothed by them. And they know that this is... It's an atmospheric ththing.
Yes.
There's nothing supernatural about it, or it's been explained why you get this... certainly in the North Pole. Do you get it in the South Pole as well?
I don't know. I mean, you get Borealis all over the world.
This aurora, and or even a firework display. They can have a very pleasing effect, can't they? Do people feel relaxed by?
No, I'm going to say, right, as someone who suffers from PTSD, I hate fireworks with a passion.
Okay.
Bonfire night, which in the UK is kind of when our we have the most amount of fireworks. Bit like 1st of July in America, but ours is like 5th of November.
4th of July. 4th of July.
4th of July. Sorry, yeah, ours is 5th of November, and we have like a week where every night there's fireworks going off, and I think they should be banned. I feel very strongly about this.
Someone let off one last night, which woke us up in the early hours of the morning, and it sounded like a machine gun, but apart from it was irregular and didn't have the kind of power of a round being fired. But it was noisy, and it was in the early hours of the morning. What the hell? Who's doing that?
Idiots.
Yeah, idiots.
Yeah. Well, I used to, as you know, Neil, I used to live very close to Canary Wharf in London. And yeah, you would quite regularly have fireworks going off all throughout the year. Like, barely a month goes by when you don't have them going off. I mean, when I was a kid, because we have bonfire night in this country, which is a particularly English thing.
and a particularly Protestant thing.
Well, it's when we celebrate the failure to blow up Parliament.
Yeah, so it's our only unique celebration. There is no other celebration in this country which is unique to Britain or unique to England. But I also found when I was working at Hampton Court Palace that occasionally I would start talking about Guy Fawkes because it was historically relevant. I was talking about the gunpowder plot. And I find kids looking at me blankly and I say, have you heard of Guy Fawkes? And they'd say no. And so my next question will be, are you a Catholic? And they'd say, oh, yeah. And that'll be why. Catholic kids don't know about it. They really don't know about it.
Not British Catholic.
Yeah, British Catholic kids don't know it. They celebrate Halloween more. They have fireworks on Halloween. But they really, honestly, don't know.
I'm going to investigate that because I'm finding
it was
really from another country. Yes, I can understand that, but
I mean the Catholics, the Jacobites were the Islamic fundamentalists of the 17th century, and were hounded. And basically that's what it was. It was an anti-Catholic purge, and this allegedly they were. I mean, there was some evidence that there was some gunpowder plot, but it was apparently the reason it failed. Is because quite a few of them had friends who were members of Parliament and started to give this. If I were you, I wouldn't go to Parliament next Wednesday because I can't say, but just don't turn up. Yeah. And of course, that's how the word got out.
We've done our thing about digressing.
Yeah, we do, don't we? So we're ruling out fireworks as
fireworks and flares. I think it's fairly easy to rule that out. Now, there is some corroboration that this thing existed. So, from the FAA, an FAA spokesman has confirmed that there were no planned military operations and the air traffic was light. There wasn't much around at that time. But a group known as the New York Strange Phenomena Investigators...
New York Strange Phenomena...
New York Strange Phenomena Investigators, NYSPI.
NYSPI. They should have they've so got to have a TV series. A bit like Scooby Doo.
Yes,
or Wellington Paranormal.
Scooby Doo meets CSI New York. Yeah. Totally. Well, they claim to have FAA radar data that shows that there was something in that area at that time. It showed up on radar, which at 1,800 feet, would it show up on radar? Would that be too low for it? Because that is quite low, as you say.
It is quite. I would have thought, yeah. I suppose it depends how near you are to an airport. So I thought there was... the same spokesman for the FAA also said that no pilots flying in or out of Newark Airport nearby reported seeing anything out of the ordinary.
No, but again, at 1,800, they'd probably be too high for it. Also,
if you're looking down,
but if you're looking down and you see a group of lights around a turnpike, you're just going to think it's street lights or...
I guess, if they're not moving, they're just lights.
You wouldn't recognise it as something out of the ordinary, would you?
I suppose I don't know how far away Newark Airport is from where the lights were seen. So it could have been that a plane would have flown right through them if it was coming into land.
I don't know either. Maybe that's something one of our listeners can shed some light on.
Because I mean, when planes come into land, their sort of landing path is really long. My brother lives in a street in Richmond, in West London, which is quite a long way from Heathrow. I mean, from there, it's about a 40-minute drive to Heathrow Airport.
In the UK, that's a long way.
In the UK, that's a long way through crowded... Yes, actually, in the UK, it probably isn't a long way, is it? Because you're going... The reason it's 40 minutes is because of all the busy streets you've got to get through. But my brother lives in the street where a plane coming in from India, as it lowered its undercarriage, 40 minutes on ground travel away from the airport, as it lowered its undercarriage, a frozen Indian stowaway fell out into the street. This frozen body landed in my brother's street.
Oh my goodness.
So planes are still a pretty... I mean, jet planes are moving, covering quite a lot of distance as they come into land. And
what is it, 300 mile an hour, something like that they move at? It's pretty fast, I know that much.
Yeah, I don't know how fast they go. They don't look like they're moving fast.
No, that's because they're a long way up.
Yeah. But you look at a plane, I think... when I think about the theory of aviation, how things fly and how the air currents pass over and under the wings, whatever, I understand how that applies to, say, a biplane, which is basically a box kite with an engine on it, keeping it going forward into the wind as opposed to a tether to the ground. But when I see a 100-ton jumbo apparently just hanging in the sky, not moving forward, I think, how is that possible?
Well, it's the same when you see aircraft carriers on the water. Hang on, that's just a load of metal and it's floating.
Yeah.
Science, folks. But do you know what? Before we go down a real long time, we've kind of run out of time anyway. So let's do our summary of what we think of the 2001 New Jersey Turnpike. Very simple question, Neil. Was it otherworldly?
And my answer, I think, is going to have to be, I don't know. We don't know what it is. People have got theories about it that nothing seems to add up. That there was no planned military operations, no pilots flying in or out saw anything. It was only people on the ground who stopped to look at it, and even talking about it years later said that just talking about it, they returned to that serene, restful feeling they got from the emotional feelings associated with it. So it's something weird, yeah. Sorry, it's something weird, but I don't know if it's visitors from another world. That's a bit of a...
Saying I don't know is the most honest thing to say. You've not ruled this out, and that's probably the main thing.
I can't rule it out.
No, that's fantastic, because I mean, neither of us know. But I would suspect it is, because it matches so many other patterns of established UFO or UAP. God, I'm doing it a lot now. UAP or otherworldly events. But what do you think, listeners? Is there a more mundane explanation for the 2001 New Jersey Turnpike UAP? What date did it actually happen? And how far away is Newark from it? Do let us know the answers to this, and anything else you want to let us know about this subject. By the usual means, you can contact us through Facebook or Twitter by searching Aliens Explored, or you can go to our website, aliensexplored.com, and don't forget to leave us a review wherever you listen to your podcasts. It really, really does help us. Next time, Neil, I'm very excited about this because I'm a huge Douglas Adams fan. And next week is our 42nd episode. So we've got to do something Douglas Adams related.
Well, I've certainly got to come up with a definitive answer. If it's
yes, the answer to life, the universe, and everything
is, I don't know. 42, but I don't know what it means.
But so we're going to do something sort of. It's a little bit tenuous, this link, but in the book, The Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, Douglas Adams writes about a race called the Golgafrinchams, who come to Earth deep into its past, bringing along people, the Golgafrincham race, who seed the Earth and wipe out humanity, or Neanderthal man. So we're going to be discussing, are humans really extraterrestrials from another planet? That's our topic for next week.
I'm looking forward to it. Yeah, I can't wait.
In the meantime, keep watching those lights above the turnpike and the rest of the skies. Bye for now.
Catch you next time. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.
Aliens Explored is a Fecal Films production in association with Juicy Falls. Music by Darren Mafucci and editing by Stu Jackson. Find us on Twitter or Facebook by searching Aliens Explored, or visit us on aliensexplored.com.